Blackwood Academy had stood for over a century. Its towering brick walls and long dimly lit hallways carrying the weight of countless generations. The school had a reputation: strict, old-fashioned, and eerily quiet. Students whispered about how the place felt off, but no one could ever explain why. Among the many teachers, Mr. Holloway was the strangest. No one knew exactly how long he had been teaching. Some students claimed their parents had him in class, and others swore there were old yearbooks where he should have appeared, but didn't. He was thin, almost skeletal, with hollow cheeks and tired eyes that seemed to watch everything too closely. His voice was slow and deliberate, his tone always carrying an unsettling edge. He never raised his voice, he never smiled, and he never left the school. Every day he would arrive before sunrise, and every night he would be the last to leave, if he ever left at all. It wasn't until the day of his last lesson that the students realized the terrible truth about him. It was a cold Friday afternoon. The class sat in silent unease, waiting for the final bell to ring. Mr. Holloway stood at the front, staring at them with that unnerving gaze, his bony fingers tapping against the desk. "You have been all good students," he murmured. "So today I'll teach you something that is not in any book." The air in the room seemed to thicken. Slowly he turned to the chalkboard and, with his usual precise, methodical handwriting, wrote, "This school was built on a lie." The room fell into hushed confusion. A few students exchanged nervous glances. Someone chuckled awkwardly. "You've noticed it, haven't you?" Mr. Holloway continued. "Strange things. Rules that don't make sense. Questions that never get answered." The students hesitated, because they had noticed how there were entire wings of the school that no one was allowed to enter, how the staff never spoke about the past, how every once in a while a student would suddenly leave without warning, and no one would remember them. "This place was never meant to be a school," Mr. Holloway said. "It was something else before, something worse." The fluorescent lights above flickered. A girl near the front, Jessica, shifted in her seat. "What do you mean? What was this place before?" Mr. Holloway paused, tilting his head slightly. "A hospital," he said softly, "for people who weren't meant to live." The words sent a shiver through the class. "Not just any hospital," he continued, his fingers tracing the edge of his desk. "It was an asylum, a place where they sent the unwanted, the forgotten, the ones who knew things they shouldn't." Silence. "They never tore it down," he whispered. "They just built over it, buried the records, changed the names." The students shifted uneasily. Someone in the back half laughed, as if trying to brush it off. But deep down they all felt it, that heavy, suffocating presence in the walls. "They say the past doesn't matter," Mr. Holloway went on. "That history is just words, but history leaves scars, and and some things refused to be forgotten. The bell rang. The students jumped, their attention breaking for just a second, but as they grabbed their bags, Mr. Holloway held up a single hand. "One more thing," he said quietly. The students hesitated. "There is a door at the end of the east wing," he said. "No handle, no sign, just a door that no one talks about." A few students nodded. They'd seen it, hidden past the lockers, where the hallway abruptly ended. "If you press the ear against it," Mr. Holloway whispered, "you can still hear them, the ones who never left." The room was dead silent. Then the lights cut out. A few students screamed. The darkness swallowed the room for only a second, but it felt like an eternity. Then, just as quickly, the lights flickered back. The students looked around, breathing hard. But something was wrong. The classroom door was open now, and Mr. Holloway was gone. The students rushed into the hallways, looking around frantically, but Mr. Holloway was nowhere to be found. The principal was called, the police were notified. They searched every room, every hallway, every corner of the school. But there was no sign on Mr. Holloway that he had ever been there. His records missing. His classroom assigned to another teacher years ago. His desk empty. No one could even remember when he started working there. By Monday, a new history teacher had arrived. Someone the students had never seen before. When they asked about Mr. Holloway, the principal simply smiled and said, "Who?" The class sat in uneasy silence. The memories of his last lesson felt like a dream, fading at the edges, dissolving into nothing. But at the end of the east wing, where the hallway should have ended, there was something new. A door with no handle. And when one student, Jessica, pressed her ear against it, she swore she heard a voice on the other side, faint, muffled, and desperately whispering, "Let me out!